Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's only been 3 days since Imman Osman was sworn in to represent Ward 5 in Lewiston, but that was brought to an abrupt halt after sending this resignation letter today to the council, saying he is stepping down, effective immediately.
I'm excited to put this behind us.
Osman says in his letter that during his time in public office, he has faced vicious personal attacks.
Were you aware of those attacks at all? Did he mention those to you?
I am aware of the personal attacks that he's received, and it's absolutely horrible.
Osman's resignation comes just a day after he pleaded not guilty to an indictment on gun charges.
The law did not prevent us from swearing him in. He was duly elected by Ward 5 residents.
There were also questions surrounding his legal address that trace back to a condemned building. Despite that, several people spoke in support of Osman after Tuesday night's swearing in.
So he's the person, we elected him to this seat because he knows exactly how to deal with what is going on in downtown Lewiston.
We reached out to Osman's attorney in hopes of speaking with the now former councilor. The attorney said his client did not want to speak to us today.
Well, when News Nation investigates, the impact can be swift and dramatic. We saw that today as shockwaves reverberated in part from a News Nation exclusive we brought you last night. We told you about how a small community in Maine alleges that money for mass shooting victims instead went to a Somali-linked nonprofit. Well, tonight, less than 24 hours after our report aired, Lewiston City Council member Imman Osman, who is a Somali refugee, is stepping down. He didn't give a reason, but News Nation has learned his nonprofit was one of dozens that received some of that money raised for these shooting victims. Not only that, it turns out Osman has 2 felony gun charges and faked his address. News Nation investigative correspondent Rich McHugh has been digging into this and joins me now. You broke this news last night. How did this unfold today?
It's been wild, Elizabeth, and it's still actually unfolding. There's an emergency city council meeting happening right now in the building behind me. They're trying to figure out what exactly to do. So just to reset, Lewiston had one of the worst mass shootings in our country's history. The country rallied behind, raised a bunch of money, over $6 million. There was the Maine Community Foundation. They promised everybody that all of the monies were going to go to the victims and their families. Well, it turns out that about 30%, 1.9 million, went not to the families and victims, but went to nonprofits. And we found that at least 9 of them were immigrant-focused. At least 7 of them were Somali-linked nonprofits. Now, one of those nonprofits is the Lewiston Auburn Youth Network. They received $65,000. The Somali man who runs it, Imman Osman, sworn in as city councilor this week. He stepped down this morning, and so we've done some digging. He's facing felony gun charges. He has pled not guilty to that. He ran for city council here using an address that is a condemned chicken restaurant. I went there and looked inside earlier. This is his nonprofit received the $65,000 from the Lewiston Victims Fund when survivors like Jennifer Zenka, shot twice, received a mere $32,000 and couldn't pay for her surgeries. Take a listen.
It didn't really hit me and really upset me until I was in a position with a $93,000 hospital bill that I couldn't cover.
What do you think happened here?
They raised money for nonprofits on the backs of 18 people who were murdered, 13 people who were shot, and 136 people who escaped their attempted murder. They used that to raise money for nonprofits.
In Minnesota, they're stealing from the taxpayers. In Maine, they're stealing from the taxpayers and victims of a massacre.
So why they received this money is just disturbing. Why this man's nonprofit received these monies is a big giant question mark. Why he was even put on the city council here raises even more questions. When, Elizabeth, I went to the city clerk today, it took me 2 seconds to get his bond sheet. Back to you.
2 felony gun charges and a fake address that's really a condemned chicken restaurant. Rich? You can't make it up.
Hello YouTube family, I hope that everyone is doing fine from any part of the world that you're watching today's video from. A lot has been happening with the Somali community, and over the past few days a viral incident took place in Maine that has captured attention of Americans nationwide. What started as a single video quickly spread across social media, showing actions of Somali immigrants that many people interpreted as provocative or controversial. The response was immediate and intense. Public debates erupted, politicians commented, and also communities across the country weighed in. But what is really happening here goes beyond the video itself. This incident has raised questions about immigration, community tensions, free speech, and also how quickly viral moments can shape public perception in America. Today, we are going to break down everything that happened in Maine, why it matters, and why so many Americans are paying attention. This discussion is not about attacking any group. It's about understanding a moment that shocked the country and sparkled a nationwide conversation. Welcome back to Political Realities, a channel that brings forward what is happening in Africa and America. If you are new here, take a minute to subscribe, to like, and to share today's video. Sit with me, let's watch the clips and see how people are reacting to the events that took place in Maine.
Let's introduce you to Somali American Abdullah Ali, who came to the U.S. from Somalia in 2009. You're looking at, obviously, the man on my right who had discovered this story. He became a U.S. citizen, started a nonprofit to help immigrants, started several businesses, including a multi-million-dollar migrant care service agency, and in 2024, he ran for president as he raised money to bankroll a militia in Somalia. Yes, you heard that right. A U.S. citizen who, according to the Maine Wire, gave an interview with Kenyan media in which he said he raised money in the U.S. to buy weapons, munitions, and supplies for paramilitary force he had hoped to lead as the president of Jubaland. Yes, that is a real state in Somalia. He was running for president in Somalia. Of course, he lost the election. We reached out to the Gateway Community Services in Maine, which Ali founded, did not hear back, ironically enough. The man who broke this report, editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire, Steve Robinson, dude, this is crazy.
You really can't make this stuff up. I mean, the guy's running a migrant services agency that bills MaineCare, which is what we call Medicaid, about $5 million a year. At the same time that he's running for president, and to be clear,
in Somalia,
that he's running to be the warlord of Jubaland. Elections in Jubaland aren't exactly like elections in America. It's, whoever has the most guns is able to certify the election. So he needed to buy a paramilitary organization and paramilitary support in order to win that election, and he lost it. But at the very same time that he was in Jubaland and Kenya trying to become a warlord in southern Somalia, he was getting no-bid contracts from the administration of Governor Janet Mills, a Democrat who has been in cahoots with Gateway Community Services from the very beginning. So if there's one thing that I would implore your listeners to understand, it's in Minnesota and in Maine, it's not just the Somali diaspora that has come over here and decided to engage in this criminal behavior. It's an industrial complex with the Democratic Party that enables and turns a blind eye to this behavior because they benefit from it through political support. And indeed, Abdullahi Ali's number two, his assistant executive director, is the former mayor of South Portland, Maine, and is currently a state representative from South Portland and a member of the Appropriations Committee, Decca Delac. One of his former employees, Yusuf, is a representative from Portland. Many Gateway Community Services alums have gone on to become involved in politics, and Governor Janet Mills created the Office of New Americans specifically to cater to the new Americans, new Mainers, illegal aliens, and the only employee of that organization is Elkas Ahmed from Sudan, who is a former employee of Gateway Community Services.
I wish I had more time for this, but you're on a roll. Basically, long story short, is Maine's got a bunch of fraud with people taking money from the government and the taxpayers and then buying rocket launchers, sending them back to run for elections and president of whatever that place is Jubaland.
Jubaland. And then they're also turning around and getting out the vote for Democrats in places like Lewiston, Maine and Portland, Maine.
Yeah, and when you drive into Maine, there's a big sign that says Maine, the way life should be. Not the way I see it. Steve Robinson, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think we triggered the Somalis. You're going to like this one. You're going to want to share it. A Somali man named Mohammed in Maine has just come out and put a video out in a way threatening the Democratic Party. In Maine, they're looking to investigate for fraud one of their high-ranking people. He specifically said, if you continue with these investigations into fraud, we will not vote for you. We put you in power to not create division and to protect our people. And all this fraud conversation is not approved. If you want to continue to get our vote, you must ensure we're not investigated. This video is going super viral. You're going to see it everywhere. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Is that another admission of guilt? I tell you, the IQ thing with them is spectacular. I used to question it. Now I fucking love it because they make mistakes all the time. And I'm here for it. And hopefully you are too.
I thought that we were doing the right thing this whole time. And the more I started digging, the more I started finding. And I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, that this was happening and that I was part of this.
Chris Bernardini spent 7 years working for Gateway Community Services, a Somali American-led health services contractor in Maine. Bernardini alleges Gateway oversaw a system in which false records were filed about client visits. And he says they charged taxpayers for providing services that were never performed.
We started getting some clients calling and saying, months later that their client owed them hours. They hadn't come in for these shifts and stuff. But I had a time card for it.
And they were billing for it.
They were billing for it.
In March of 2022, Gateway received a notice of violation from the state's Maine Care Services Program Integrity Unit based on an audit of records taken at random from January 2017 through December of 2018. Gateway overbilled by an estimated $904,000.
In your professional opinion, what you saw was fraud?
Absolute.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
But Bernardini says when the pandemic hit, it got worse.
I started seeing bonuses, $2,000 bonuses going to these staff that had only been with us for 2 weeks, never worked a shift with a client. And yet the PPP loan comes, you're giving $2,000 away like they're lollipops at a doctor's office.
In April of 2024, Bernardini wrote to the Department of Homeland Security seeking whistleblower protection. They referred him back to the state of Maine. Nearly a year later, Gateway fired Bernardini. The company's founder and CEO is Abdullahi Ali, a Somali American who, while at the time serving as executive director for Gateway, last year ran for president of Jubaland, a state in Somalia's south that borders Kenya. Last week, he posted on X, "I make no apologies for building a successful business in Maine, working hard to earn a living, earning my PhD, giving back to my Maine community, and running for office in Jubaland. I am proud to contribute my hard-earned dollars to support my people back home." We reached out to Ali for comment multiple times. We even came to Gateway to try and speak with him. Hello, I'm with News Nation. My name is... No comment. No comment? Is Mr. Ali here? Can we speak with Mr. Ali? Republican State Senator Matt Harrington has called on Governor Janet Mills to investigate.
It's just an absolute insult to the Maine taxpayer that we know that there's this Medicaid fraud going on by Gateway Community Services. We're seeing nothing from the Mills administration on this, and I think it's appalling.
I still can't believe it. I still can't believe I took so much of my time and put so much of my life into this agency that just tossed me aside. It's caused me to reflect a lot and, try to trust my gut more and speak up more when I see something. It's not right.
We're talking about Immigrants. He's the Lewiston City Councilor-elect. He's being charged with 1 count of receiving stolen property and 1 count of theft by unauthorized taking of a firearm. Now, Lewiston City Mayor Carl Shaleen did call on Osman to step down and not take this position, but his attorneys tell us that Osman still plans to serve on the city council. The council will go into executive session to consider the request by the previous this council to investigate his qualifications for the job. This is according to the city council agenda. The council will also consider a resolution to retain an independent investigator to prepare a report on facts related to Osman's qualifications. This is also outlined in the city's agenda for tonight. Osman is also under scrutiny about his legal address. It's listed as 210 Blake Street, but that building was condemned back in 2024 due to a drug raid. Now, Osman has not made it public at this current moment where he's living right now.
Hello and welcome back. And now let's dig deep of what really happened in Maine and why it took place. Remember that America is a country where words, actions, and also public perception collide, especially when it comes to immigration and race. The viral incident in Maine was not just a video. It was a symbol of the tensions between communities and the broader challenges of integration and understanding whether it was fair or unfair. What's fascinating is how quickly a single moment online can ripple across the country. People see the video, they interpret it through their own experiences, their own fears, and their own political views. Suddenly, an isolated incident becomes a national story with the consequences for everyone involved. Politicians, journalists, and ordinary citizens all jumped in, interpreting footage, debating what it meant, and deciding how to respond. Some called it a warning and others called it a misunderstanding. But everyone agreed on one thing. The events that took place in Maine matter. And today, America, if something matters, it spreads so fast. Now, let's be honest. Moments like these show the fragility of a community trust and the power of perception. When a group feels targeted or misunderstood, tensions always rise. When the broader public feels shocked or threatened, reactions can be swift and sometimes unforgiving. This isn't just about the Somali immigrants or about one state. It's about how America handles viral moments that touch on sensitive social issues. And the lesson here today is very clear. In a hyperconnected society, every action, every word, and every video has consequences. Understanding the context, remaining critical of what we see online, and engaging thoughtfully as a community are crucial. And for Americans watching, it's a reminder that viral moments don't just entertain. They shape narratives, they influence opinions, and in some cases, they change lives. This is why it is so important to discuss these incidents carefully and look beyond the headlines and to think critically about what is happening in our communities and across the country. The main incident may have started as a viral moment, but its impact goes far beyond a single video. It's a lens into the tensions, the debates, and the conversation shaping America today. And if you feel that this conversation of today touched you, leave your thoughts in the comment section. You have been watching Polito Realities, a space where we handle real conversations. Until next time, be grounded, be blessed. But remember to subscribe, to like, and to share today's video.